Hello, everyone, and welcome to Houston PetSet's conversation with the candidates. You know, Election Day is around the corner, and many of us will be going to the polls. But when we do we really know the candidates? Have we put faces with names, and have we determined if what's important to them is important to us, like animal welfare, for example? So that's why today we're taking some time, thanks to Houston PetSet, with those who are running for Harris County Precinct 3, Tom Ramsey and Michael Moore. You're going to learn about them, learn about what they think about animals, and we'll go to the polls a little more knowledgeable. And that's what this is about. So we did a toss of the coin and Michael came out first. So we're going to ask Michael if he can tell us a few things about himself. Go ahead, Michael.
Great. Thank you all for having this. It is a big issue that's not talked about very often. My name is Michael Moore. I'm running for Harris County Commissioner Precinct 3, the entire west side of Harris County. I'm the former Chief of Staff to Mayor Bill White, former Mayor of Houston. I helped manage the fourth largest city in the country with over $2 billion budget and over 20,000 employees. There's major issues facing Harris County on top of COVID, the economic downturn, flood mitigation, transportation, growth, healthcare system, and one of the major issues is actually our animals. My wife is a big dog person. My wife grew up with dogs. I grew up with cats. I've got two little girls that we're raising. We're both brought up in Precinct 3. And the argument is when we get a dog, not if we're going to get a dog. So we'll be at one of the shelters picking out a dog here in the next year or so. Thank you for hosting this.
Okay, Tom, would you like to tell us a little about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, MaryJane. I'm so glad to be here today. Tom Ramsey, running for Harris County Commissioner Precinct 3. I've lived on the west side here in Houston for 30 plus years. I'm an engineer with 40 plus years experience. Former mayor of Spring Valley. Was former president of the Harris County Mayor Council. That's Houston plus 33 cities not named Houston. Also, I owned a business in Precinct 3 for 25 plus years, recently sold that. And so I understand from a business standpoint, from an elected official standpoint, from an engineering standpoint, a lot of the issues in Harris County Precinct 3. Also have 7 grandchildren that live in West Houston, West Harris County, along with their families. My wife for 48 years. I cannot name the number of pets we've had. I just know today I've got 4 grand dogs, and we are fortunate to be able to see our grand dogs when we see our grandchildren. It really does matter what PetSet does. I know with Delta blowing in as it is, we are going to be a refuge for a lot of animals that need some kind of refuge. So I look forward to the conversation. Thank you all for encouraging this kind of discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. So actually, you get the first question. And that question is going to be, define Harris County's homeless animal issue as you understand it.
Well, as I understand, it's a crisis. We have got a lot of homeless animals. I put in the category dogs and cats first. I'm so glad that Harris County has just finished a $24 million facility out there, that we have a place that we can bring these animals to. I know roughly a few years back, probably 5, unfortunately the life for lease was less than 15%. It approaches 89%. I think Dr. White gets much of the credit. So the real issue is we need to take care of these animals. They're homeless not for anything they've done, but just the circumstances. And so we need to continue to provide resources, as we are doing now, to further encourage that.
Thank you, Tom. Michael, what about you? Define Harris County's homeless animal issue as you understand it.
It's a healthcare issue, it's a safety issue, and it's a humane issue. We've got upwards of 1 million homeless animals around Harris County. We've got neighborhoods where kids aren't safe. They don't go out because there might be a pack of dogs out there that are hungry And they're doing what dogs do when they're homeless. They run in packs, and it's a danger. It's a danger to those neighborhoods. It happens on a lot in Precinct 1 and 2, but Precinct 3 is not immune to that. So it is a big issue. We need to spend much more money than we do on spade and neuter programs and make sure it's free to the public. As a county commissioner, I will definitely use my voice if I'm elected to help solve this problem.
Thank you. And Michael, you're going to get the next question too. How would your office support the organizations that are working in the animal welfare arena?
There's a lot. One, I'll be an advocate for what y'all do. Y'all spend a lot of money in this area. I mean, tens of millions of dollars. And thank y'all for what y'all do. There needs to be better coordination between the county, the city, and the nonprofits. I will be an advocate and you can count on my office to have somebody that's an expert in this field, that's a go-to person when I set up my team if I'm elected. So I'll be an advocate for y'all. I will help come up with solutions on how we spend money more wisely. I think I've called for the combining of the City of Houston Health, County and City of Houston Health Departments. I think we should look at also Bureau of Animal Control and BARC and Harris County Animal Control, of combining them and kind of combining those resources to get more efficiency out of government.
Okay, thank you. And Tom, how about you? How would your office support the organizations that are working in the animal welfare arena?
I believe that public-private partnerships are the most effective means to getting things done, and particularly in this arena. I see what PetSet is doing. There's a lot of different organizations out there that are providing volunteers to our facilities, but they're also out there in the neighborhoods working with all the many different groups. So setting up a public-private partnership, I've already talked to Dr. White at the vet center and had some conversation with him. I want to get and secure good information, find out where the needs are, talk to the volunteers, find out where their needs are. Really, it's a collaborative effort. I think the county can encourage more of that than what we do. It's not a complete, and certainly collaboration with the City of Houston. They've got some great programs going that we can complement each other. So many times Houston does things and Harris County does things. We need to really work hard to see how we can both complement each other and at the same time use our great nonprofits to get some things done.
Thank you. And actually, Tom, you get the next one as well. Would you be supportive of an annual audit of the Harris County Animal Shelter and Veterinary Public Health by an independent party?
Absolutely. I think having third party, I'm familiar with doing that, having worked for over 50 cities in Texas, 20 counties in Texas. I know how an independent audit, an assessment, a third party look at what we are doing, so valuable. I think it brings insight where we sometimes you get to doing things and it may have worked well 15 years ago, but to be able to get somebody in there and look at how we spend our money, are we getting the biggest bang for the buck when we're trying to help the animals, particularly when you have the nonprofits and fundraising and doing some of the things they do. I mean, we owe it to them to be sure that we get the highest value for their investment.
Okay, thanks, Tom. So, Michael, now would you be supportive of an annual audit of the Harris County Animal Shelter and Veterinary Public Health by an independent party?
Yes, I would, just like Tom does. It's important that I think that there has been an audit called for the health department, Harris County Health Department, but I think that that's for the entire department. But I think there needs to be one for animal control. I think when you do these audits, it's important that you start off, that you have the right inputs. And I think the nonprofits should actually be part of how you structure that audit and what we're going to look for in the outcomes. That the numbers, we're going to look at the numbers of the number of animals that come in, that have been adopted, make sure efficiencies. I know they've added up to 50, I think, new positions at the Harris County. We need to make sure those positions are in the right spots, that we get have the most efficient organization. So yeah, independent audit is very important.
Excellent, thank you. So Michael, the next one. It's a two-part question. Are you satisfied with the services of the Harris County Animal Shelter, and how would your leadership improve operations?
Everything, I think what we need to do is we need an audit before I'm going to sit there and I'm going to tell you. I know they've been making strides, both Harris County and the city of Houston have been making strides. There's always room for improvement. I know they asked for more positions than they got. Times are going to be tough on the budget coming up. And so there's always room for improvement. So no, but we can get there.
Okay. And Tom, you too, are you satisfied with the services of Harris County Animal Shelter, and how would your leadership improve the operations?
Well, it's just like running a business. You're constantly trying to improve what you are doing. And when I look at the strides we've made in the last 5 years, again, referencing earlier 15% life release up to now better than 90%, we're shooting for 100%. So it's important that we measure things. I think the problem a lot of times, we invest in things, but there's nothing measured. So I would be a strong advocate to create some strong metrics, working with the nonprofits, working with the staff there. Let's create our metrics. Let's create our goals. Don't just blindly go and spend the money. I would advocate that we can do much more. We have 5 dog parks in Precinct 3, and maybe we need 10. I know we've got 61 parks all total, and I know they are very popular. I think they're getting more popular by the day. Those kinds of things, probably providing venues for dog owners and cat owners and others to be able to go out and enjoy their animal there in a public space.
Great, thank you. And the next one again for you, Tom, and it touches on some of the other questions, but would you be supportive of creating an animal welfare task force in your precinct?
Yes, I would. I say that with conviction. I think task force work. I think you need to keep the task force in a small number. I've seen task force grow to 25 or 30, and you really can't get anything done. There is such an opportunity if you get the right people. Obviously, the folks, the nonprofits, those people that are investing in it, bring our professionals there within the county and others, and have a clear idea of what we want to do. I do think we need to define what it is we're seeking. I think a task force can come back and identify 3 or 4 things. I don't think they need to come back in 30 or 40. So as long as it's a well-defined set of criteria, I think it's a great idea.
Okay, thank you. And then Michael, how about you? Would you be supportive of creating an animal welfare task force in your precinct?
Yes, I think there probably should be one for each precinct and learn from each precinct. Each precinct is going to have a different issue. And one of the things I think that the task force needs to be charged with is, how do you get the word out there on spade and neutering? And how do you make sure that there's vouchers that are handed out for free spade and neutering? How do you get the word out there? Because sometimes people just can't afford it to get their dogs or cats spayed or neutered. And I think having the task force of nonprofits that are out there in the community, along with Precinct 3 staff, I think will go a long way to actually bring up those numbers on spade and neutering.
Okay, thank you. All right, and an optional question, but my guess is that both of you will want to take it. So we'll start with you, Michael. are you open to creating public, private, nonprofit partnerships, so any of those, to address the county's homeless animal issue? And again, a two-parter, what groups would you work with in your precinct?
Of course, they're out there right now. That's what y'all are doing. The PetSet's doing. So obviously PetSet, if it wasn't for the nonprofits in what they do, especially on right now during COVID, helping fostering all these animals right now that we've got, helping find homes for them, foster homes, we'd be in a big problem. We would have major issues. So all the organizations we need to strengthen those nonprofit connections. And especially, like I said, I think we need to combine the two, the city of Houston and the county animal controls. Dogs and cats don't know a county border. We've got a big county. And I think you'd find more efficiencies and you'd find better health outcomes and safety outcomes if you did combine them both with working with the nonprofits.
Okay, thank you. And Tom, are you open to creating public or private or nonprofit partnerships to address the county's homeless animal issue? And which groups would you work with in your precinct?
Yes, I've had great experiences with public-private partnerships. I think they bring a bit different motivation in terms of solving issues. So of course I would be for that. Obviously you work with PetSet. There are others that we need to work closely with. I'd also work with the area cities. As I said earlier, there's 33 cities not named Houston in Harris County. And so they all have folks, they have volunteers. Katy may have a bit different take on how to do things as compared to West U. I know a couple of years ago, we had a coyote problem in Spring Valley. And coyotes didn't mix well with pets. And so we had to work through that. And when you start going through the different things that can happen in terms of encouraging welfare, animal welfare, I think you need to set up. So I agree, a public-private partnership would be great, and just be flexible and wide open in terms of where we take that.
Okay, Tom, would you support a local ordinance that bans the sale of dogs from breeders and puppy mills in retail locations?
Absolutely. I know that the legislature is trying to sunset that. We need to put effort in Austin to be sure that doesn't happen. For those of us who've grown up in Texas and have unfortunately seen that sad case, that needs to be fought with great effort. We not only need to be against it, we need to spend money to be against it. It's an unacceptable thing to be happening in 2020, 2021, for that to be happening in America. So absolutely, whatever resources we can afford to put into that, we need to fight that.
Thank you. And Michael, would you support a local ordinance that bans the sale of dogs from breeders and puppy mills in retail locations?
Absolutely. It is not humane. It is just, you see these footage of these puppy mills and it breaks your heart. And so I don't know if the county has the county probably doesn't have the authority to do this on itself. It's something I'll look into if I get elected. I think the state, like Tom says, it needs to come down from the state. There is probably going to be law enforcement will probably say we need to have some kind of mechanism, licensing for it, but I'm definitely against it. It's just, I've seen these videos before and they're disgusting. It's not humane, and we need to do something about it.
Okay, excellent. I would like to thank both of you, Tom and Michael, for your time today answering these questions that are so important to those of us who love the animals and care about animals. And Houston PetSet appreciates the time that you've taken. We'll be able to go to the polls more informed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.